Welcome to the LiveCast Conversations With. On this show, my guests and I explore the bumps and triumphs of their journey to extract the gems from their experiences, because success leaves clues, and today we turn those clues into billboards for you. I'm your host, Gene Bernier, founder of Pealed Back, speaker and co-active coach, guiding leaders to ruthlessly pursue a life worth living. Hey everybody, welcome to episode 91 of LiveCast Conversations With. On today's show, my friend Brent Keough is on here. Brent is a resilient and dedicated leader. His life is focused on understanding, connecting, and networking with individuals and businesses. In collaboration with his partner Leslie McKeown, they implement new successful measures for their employees and clients through effective mentorship, business strategy development, and implementation. With a focus on delivering effective, strategic, and quality enriched services, they've been able to evolve the full Prism Group from a startup to a sustainable and established company. Brent, thank you so much for being on the show today, brother.
Thanks for having me, Gene.
Oh,
looking forward to this.
That's an easy one. We've had so many great conversations offline. So yeah, let's jump right into it. So this is all about the journey of going from a startup to a sustainable company. Tell us a little bit, pull the curtains back a little bit, show us, how did you get to where you are today?
Yeah, so I started my first 15 years in the world of sales, and I wasn't titled as an entrepreneur really until 2020 happened. And my partner, she had her other business, which was bookkeeping and back office procedures. And when COVID first happened and they're like, you can't go meet people face to face anymore, it was just such a change for me. And my partner's like, well, we should try something that's different here, which is working online and working with people through Zoom. And because of that, like, I really learned how to navigate a lot of the sales world online, where when I started my career 20 years ago, everything was a flip phone and nobody put their credit card online. So it was very prevalent for me to be out there doing that, where now it's like everybody's got a smartphone, they can take a picture of something and all of a sudden it pops up on Amazon and they know exactly what the price is and 3 other prices that are with it. So I wanted to be able to really connect the dots between people that are in the business world online and being able to work with people that are also in the online business world to solve those problems. And when we were starting it out, it was really a lot of that trial and error beta testing to see which industries talk, which ones don't. And then I got right into figuring out which ones are the most engaged and started working from there. So we took that startup world where we're like high beta tests, like fail. And you just consistently do that until like, oh, it works. Okay, let's keep doing this. All right, let's add to this and let's go from there. So, and my partner is very good at piecing a lot of the dots together on the analytical side. But for myself, it's really understanding different people and being able to see how they can connect on an emotional level and how you can really start solving problems within a larger network. And that became a lot of our secret sauce that we tend to educate a lot of people on how to do, because in my whole career in sales, that's always what I did, was go out there and find the yes and the sea of no's. But now it's easier to do it. So, yeah.
Well, you've alluded to like your sales career in 15 years. Like I know that some of that started in the nonprofit space, actually door knocking and bringing in big programs and experiencing that no, right? Like knocking on a door. I've been there. I think I shared before. I did Kirby. I should say I tried to sell Kirby vacuums in Calgary many moons ago, and to be able to knock on that door and then still take that no and be like, all right, I got to go to the next one, is like, you know, I think that's probably something that really has helped you understand what that sea of no is. Now, that's an assumption, but I'll put that.
Yeah, I mean, I remember we used to go back to like the Rocky Balboa movies, and like you see that coach is there being like, "Come on, get in the ring and another fight, like another one." It's like we used to always say, it doesn't matter how many punches I took in the day. It was that I still stood my ground and I still came out victorious at the end. It's how I laid the last punch. And I just continued to go out there and become more resilient in the market while I started understanding people better. So the more questions I asked, the more I started to see how people can engage towards certain questions. And if I noticed that there's a question that really brought a positive path for the majority of people that I talk to, I tend to go with that a little bit more because it's like a sales world. Like you're going for the path of least resistance. And like in my career, like the biggest hurdle that I ever had to get over in sales was conflict. And that was my biggest anxiety in sales, was the fact that if somebody like tried to be like abrasive with me, like I tend to like not want to be around that. So like I did things that I could to be able to avoid the abrasiveness. And 20 years ago, people were a little more abrasive when there was like 3 or 4 people that knocked on your door in a day, versus now where most people have a Ring doorbell so they can see who's there and they're like, I'm not home.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, for anybody out there, how many times have you done that through the sales guy? And like you are home, but you're like, I don't want to see the sales guy.
Like, oh, I don't want to have to do this, versus getting up and having that approach with it. It's interesting. Conflict was that place that you were able to find opportunities from, right? Like you share that there's an avoidance for it almost, and because of that, you're like, well, how can I get creative? Now, yeah, that was the initial challenge, but you were also able to open up, more conversations and find new ways to do it, versus like standing it going, I'm not going to knock. You still have to knock.
Well, I've looked at people. I'm like, I've said this before as a Canadian, and this goes out for all my Canadians. Wayne Gretzky said it best: you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And if you don't knock on the door, that's a shot that you did not take. That's how I seen it. And like whether it was picking up the phone, whether it was going into a networking event, like if you have to walk in a room of 500 people and you're like, how do I start this? How do I start this conversation? Sometimes you just got to go in and just start. Just like, hi, how are you? My name is Brent. I like nachos. Like
I like nachos as well, Brent. We're gonna get along just great,
right? With cheese, right? Like I'm talking like a little spiciness on that, right? But like I'm just me, and that's the thing. Like I'm going out there and I'm looking for people that actually want to build a relationship with me, right? Like, and then from there, it's do you have a problem? Like I had this conversation with my network today, and I said, you ever have somebody that like you had this really, really good conversation with, and then they lean in, they say, hey, can I ask you an honest question? Can I ask you for some like honest feedback? That there is an interested future customer. Oof. Because they're looking at you and being like, I trust you enough that I'm going to ask you something that is like, I feel is a weakness in me.
Yeah.
And to me, it's not, because it's like, I have things that I'm still getting over as a business owner, like as a sales professional, like I'm like, oh, this is all easy because I did 15 years of this. But as an entrepreneur, I'm like, I did 2 years of this during COVID, and like even still, like I'm still understanding how this all works. But I spent my life talking to people, so it was always like, how do I build that relationship, and how do I lean into the problem, and how do I solve the problem, like, and genuinely be like, hey, we've got this, right? And that became a business model for us, right? And that business model, like, that transcends across North America because of it, because like we put ourselves out there every day, and we follow the system that I followed 20 years ago, like never changed. It's just, again, the tools got better.
Well, and what I'm hearing from this is, like, first off, when somebody's leaning in, I love that whole, like, if they're willing to give you a little bit of like that vulnerability, open up their kimono and be like, this is where it's soft, be like, oh, there's a relationship here, and maybe in some point this comes from that business side because they're joining your calls. But that's a big like opportunity, I think, for anybody listening, is like that's a huge like knock, like that, in a good way. Be like, they're knocking going, we got this. I think I can trust you. Oh, it's there. Cool, right? And I like what Mike is saying. So Mike's watching from Facebook right now, talking about the knocks, from asking a girl out to asking for the sale to asking for the opportunity. Everything is on the other side of the knock. I love that.
Yeah, I mean, I've met so many wonderful people in my life, that in my door knocking days, that became good mentors in my life. I shared some very strong views on how the sales world should work, like telling me things that like weren't prevalent in the market, but they knew were going to happen in the next 10 years, being like, hey, you being genuine and you being kind and you being natural like this, Brent, is something that people really need. And when I went into the US market in 2019 and I learned how corporate America worked and then I showed them my style on it, they were looking at me being like, where'd you learn this? And I said, nonprofit. I was like, because nonprofit was never about sales. It was about customer service. It was about education. It was about figuring out where the problem was in the world, whether it was local or whether it was international. And I mean, for anybody from Toronto, I mean, I worked with Sick Kids Hospital for years. You know, for anybody that's worked in the international world, I've worked on behalf of World Vision. I've worked on behalf of Plan Canada and Red Cross that does so many wonderful things in this world. And you know, if we didn't go out there and streamline that awareness across Canada and then into the US before I left it, then it wouldn't have paved the path for YouTube to bring out the advertising, like Ryan Reynolds coming out with Sick Kids Versus, like to be able to really get this in front of the masses, to be able to take it to the next level, because that's all we're doing in this world in sales, is to be able to progress our society and make it better and easier and give us more time back in our lives. So like, you know, I believe that, you know, if you truly believe in what you do and you go out there and you solve a problem in the market and you talk to enough people, you'll be successful by default. The only way you'll fail is if you stop.
What's that? It's what you and Mike are saying. It's on the other side of that knock, right? Do you have the skills? Are you coming at it from this right place? And the thing that I'm taking from what you're saying here is like sales is a byproduct of doing customer service, building a relationship, identifying that you see their problem the way that they see it and going, I have a tool for that. Or maybe I am the key way through that, right? Like that speaks to story branding, that speaks to like identifying it. You do all those things right, then you get the sale. Versus trying to chase that up front and then going, oh, we'll build all that stuff on the back end.
How many times have you seen like when somebody gets a sale and then all of a sudden they change their demeanor?
Oh, yes.
So I was taught that we were born with three masks: one that society sees, one that our friends and family sees, and one that we see, right? And in order to be truly successful in this world, you need to get rid of the first two.
I agree.
And be you, and that's it. And like people take it for what it is, because when somebody closes with me in business, it's like, all right, let's go. Let's go. Let me show you this. Let's go. Like, it's like they're thinking that it's going to be this like long drawn out process. And it's like, no, come. Let's do this. Right. Like, this is a path I've walked down before. Avoid that path right there. You're going to get hurt. But like, I'm like your guy that like, if you were in the Amazon, I'm the guy with the machete being like, let's go. Like, let's go. Because like the confidence just gets people going. And when you go, you see the results, and when you see the results, you get confident in yourself. And when you get confident in yourself, there's nothing that's going to stop you at that point until you get in your head.
So, but when Brent, what's your definition of confidence?
I think it's being able to see where your weaknesses are and being able to control them, like be able to use it to your advantage. Like I saw conflict as a way to be able to be more self-aware and to be more emotionally aware of people. And because of that, that became my biggest strength in business. So like I really faced my weaknesses head on, and the ones that you avoid, you really got to dig deep, and you've got to really reflect and say to yourself, like, is it like, in order for me to get to the next step, is this a demon that I can put away? Is this something that I can do to be able to get more time on my side to be able to accomplish this, to get to the next stage? Because that's what we're doing as business owners. That's what we're doing in this world, to be able to live our lives, is to be able to find ways to be able to get to that inevitable goal that you're looking for, whatever it is.
What I'm hearing underneath that is it's the action. It's taking the steps into that fear, to face that fear. Then the confidence comes, where I think some people are like, oh, when I feel confident, I'll do it. But what I'm hearing from you is like, you see the fear, you've identified it, and then you've taken one step towards going, how am I going to resolve, or how am I going to walk this path with you? And then the confidence comes from going, oh, I can do this because I've done this.
You know, I always say I never envy the salesperson that has 30 pairs of dress shoes in their closet? I said, because I always kept 2 pairs. I said, because when I knocked on doors, I said I wore down a lot of them. So I didn't want to be out there spending money on 30 pairs of shoes that I'm going to all wear to the ground anyway. So like, I say, it's like you could wear those dress shoes, but like how many miles did you put in those? Right. Like how much experience have you really felt? Like I've had people being like, I'm the best salesperson in the world. It's like, how many people have you talked to?
Yeah.
Right. I said, because like you get humbled at a certain point in your life where you're like, the number, I'll never reach it. I'll never reach everybody. Right. So I just got to make the best of the people that I'm talking to in my life. And then when that starts happening, you really start connecting with people. You really start seeing like people for who they really are. And like, you can even see when somebody's a no, and you're like, I know this person is like just staying with me because they're a nice person, but like, I know they're a no. So it's like, just pointing that out, people really get a sigh of relief. And then all of a sudden they have a real conversation with me. And then it turns into business 3 months from now.
Yeah.
Right. Because like
that seed, right?
That's it. You know, I never went in for that hard sales pitch. I just got to know them. Like if there's nothing that I can solve right now, let's be friends. Let's get to know each other. Let's see what's going on in our worlds. Let's see if there's some kind of synergy within this world. And if there is, great. If not, like anybody that needs your services, I'll point them your way. But keep the line of communication going.
I love that. And it's interesting where you talk about you can see the no, and then you go in and address it. Be like, hey, I'm getting this feeling like this is a no for you. I want you to know that's okay. And like I can imagine like even in your body language it changed. Like there's just like a little bit of a pause. Like it's a relief, right? Because at the end of the day, no one wants to be sold to, but they want their problem solved.
Yeah.
And like it's a fine line. And but like to understand that, to be like, okay, well maybe this isn't the problem for you, but I wanted to share this, and if this is a no, it's cool. I'm not going to browbeat you or anything else.
When I knocked on doors, I had to take 98 no's to find 2 people to say yes to me.
Yeah.
After 10 years of doing that, you got pretty used to like, where's my no? Where's my no at? Where's my no? I had one day in my entire door-to-door career that I had all yeses. One day.
Yeah.
This happened when I was going to Barrie. This was in the wintertime. For anybody that's been up the Barrie on the 400, you know what I'm talking about. There was a jackknifing of a truck that happened with lumber. And so the whole 400 was blocked off, and we were stuck in traffic for a long time. We were going up for Red Cross, and we had to veer off into this little side road to go down this country road. We couldn't make it door to door, but we were in snail like traffic that was happening. And I'm like, I was like, I want to go talk to somebody. And sure enough, there's this little house about like 2 minutes up the road. And I'm looking at the trucks and seeing how slow it's going. I was like, I could run up there. I can knock on that door. I said, I can talk to the person if they're at home. I said, before the vehicle gets past there. And I did. And I ran up and she answered. And I had a Red Cross jacket on. And I was like, pretty messed up out here today. And she's like, oh, yeah. She's like, you work Red Cross? I said, work on behalf of them. And she's like, come on in. She's a real estate agent. And she had this like, I walk in and there's this 1920s Red Cross chest, antique chest there. And I look at her and I said, anybody ever knock on your door? And she's like, no. I said, I'm with Red Cross. I said, that's a chest. I said, with a Red Cross on it. I said, that's not a sign. I said, I don't know what is. She signed up and I walked out and I jumped into the van and I looked at the guys. I said, that's how you do it.
Yeah.
Right. And there was no other houses that day. Yeah. That's the only time I ever got it. That was just, that's it. So everything else was a no in my day.
Yeah.
So sorry, that might be the long-winded.
No, well, and that's what this is all about. Is taking the long-wind piece so you can find those gems in it, right?
Well, it's a conversation that I've had with a lot of sales teams and business owners over the year, being justifying like the no is just part of our job. Like as a business owner and as a salesperson, like to all my entrepreneurs out there, like all we are salespeople with fancier titles.
Isn't that true?
right? You know, like we're selling ourselves at the end of the day, whether it's at a
Yeah.
networking group or whether it's, you know, talking to the next person that could be a potential referral partner for you.
Yeah.
So it's, you gotta put yourself out there.
Yeah. And then building through those networks and building up that confidence to face those no's with like, I want to say pride, but I think that's the wrong word. I think there's a better word in there when you can face that no. Maybe what do you think that is when
Purpose.
you
I
maybe
take the
that's
no
it.
with purpose. Like, you know, like
Yeah.
it's just like my purpose is to be able to go out there and do something better for the market to make it easier for people. So as
Yeah.
long as my purpose is to be able to make life better, then it does. Like the no's just don't phase me anymore.
Right.
Like you get out of your head and you really just start focusing on making sure that you talk to enough people, making sure that you build enough relationships,
Yeah.
making sure that you become a pillar in your community and be able to bridge a gap of a lot of the problems that business owners are facing in their communities. Like
Love that.
it's something that when you do that, people see that you're always present, you're always there to be able to lend a helping hand. You're a type of person that like wants to envision a better community for people, which like are you ever going to be mad at somebody that wants to make your community better?
Yeah. No.
Like no, right? So like you give that person support because you know that if they get enough support that they're going to do it, and everybody loves a success story like that.
Yeah.
So like why can't you be that success story?
Yes.
Why can't all of us be that success story at the end of the day?
Right. And it's just like you peel back the viscosity of that no, like that abrasion of it, like, oh, my soul be like, no, well, part of if my purpose is to serve and tying that back to it, be like that no, well, you can still serve them to have a better day.
I
Thank them.
remember I remember just before I left working in the charity world, there was a thank you video that got sent out by Colin Mockery for us doing over 200,000 kids sponsored,
Yeah.
and like just talking about like you know how you guys went out there and just met all these people in the rain and the cold and like you know you look back on it and you're like oh like we never saw it like that when we started. It was just
Yeah.
we went out and we really believed in each other and we challenged each other to be better and you know we built connections that like even salespeople that 20 years ago that we were working in different markets we still talk to each other because
Right.
like there was a camaraderie and there was a lean into hey like sales sucks so we might as well make the best of it you know and then like it became something that we loved and like we realized that these skills were not taught in the real world
Right.
and now like I'll work with business owners and teach them this stuff and they're like I've never seen this before and it's like huh, you need to learn this you like you come on let's go like and we continue this big network.
Right. So how is that? There's all these learnings about like how to manage it, facing all the no's, taking the abrasiveness away from it, building the relationship, being your full self. How does where does that now take you with your purpose and your vision for the full Prism Group?
Yeah, so I look at sales now from a digital door knocking perspective. I mean, I took a lot of my work from door to door into business to business. And then when I jumped on LinkedIn, I realized that everybody's there. There's 222 million in North America right now.
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of when I talked about that 98% rejection rate that I got door to door, there's still a 2% success rate. And that
Yeah.
2% success rate was what made us successful at the end of the day. So when I looked at LinkedIn, like I used to joke around with people and say, if I could predict 5 minutes in the future, I would have knocked on a lot less doors, would have made my life a lot easier. Like I was like, you're a no, you're a no, you're a no, you're a yes. Let's go.
Yeah.
And then I got on LinkedIn and I started working with the search and I started understanding that, I can bypass the gatekeeper. And to all my call center people, how many times have you had that problem? Right? Most importantly, when I knocked on doors, like I had to deal with the rain, the snow, the
Yeah.
sleet, the elements, the time. Like if it was daylight savings time, even if it was 6 o'clock, people are like, "Why are you knocking on our door so late?" Meanwhile, the
Yeah.
summertime, I knocked on your door at 9:30, and you're like, "Oh, it's still early outside." They don't think otherwise because the sun's still
Still
moving
up.
across
Yep.
the screen, right? So we eliminated a lot of those variables for the sales world. And then, we started to look at the professional service industries and say, hey, these are the people that are most engaged. Maybe this is the area we should start focusing our attention on. And then we started building our network of online businesses because we realized that a lot of those businesses had good synergies with us. Because people come to me and say, hey, you're a marketing guy. You do website design and you do advertising and you do PPC and you do Facebook ads. Like they assume it. And I'm like, nope, don't do any of it. No. And they're like, don't touch it at all. Don't want to look at it. I said, I know people. I said, I know people. I said, I'll get you right in touch with them. Don't you worry about that. I said, but all I do is LinkedIn. And they're like, what do you mean LinkedIn? I was like, I'm a digital door knocker. I was like, I did what I did 20 years ago. I learned how to use the search, and I'll get it down to 10,000 of your ideal audience out of that 222 million in North America. And I'll do a digital door knocking campaign. And because of that, like people got so intrigued that we started training people on how to do that. And then it turned into, hey, can you just do this for us? And we're like, yeah, sure. And we just get in there. And as I'm watching different industries engage, I'm starting to see the patterns between the lawyer industry and the insurance industry being very low receptive for responding to the messages. And I'm just like, let's exclude that from the search list. Let's get rid of this because they're too busy working in the community. So I became like this dot connector. And
I like that.
What happened was we built up a very strong business network of people that became our clients. And then I started looking between campaigns, between people. And then I noticed that the person that I was working with 6 months ago connected with the person that I set up a campaign with 3 weeks ago. And they would not have connected if I didn't start campaign 1 and campaign 2. And all of a sudden they're talking to each other and they're doing business together.
That's very cool.
And then I looked at it being like, I see where we like, and you just create like this whole ecosystem of business because all you're doing is getting everybody and teaching them how to put themselves out there and talk to their ideal audience and be able to build that rapport with them. Doing everything that I've done in my whole career. Just now I can do it at home, but I can do it anywhere.
So, and it's warmer, less rain, but it's still the same relationship building tactics that are going into it, bringing yourself into it, right? Maybe saying scaling is a little overused, but like there's a component of being able to scale that to a degree in a much different way than the physical world. And the big thing that I take from what I'm hearing from you is like when you're doing these digital door knocking, you're still focused on the relationship, regardless of the yes or no. Like, who are you? Is this what you're seeing? Is this your problem? If yes, no, go from there and still leaving them in a good place because what you're seeing as well down the road 3 months later, that seed was planted. Now this connection's happening. They're like, it wasn't the right time then, but it is now.
That's it. And that's it. It's being that person that genuinely cares. Like even when somebody says no, I still care about you just as much as we went into it. Right. Yeah. So it's one of those, if not, I'm caring more because I got to know you more. But there's a lot of people out there, they're going in it just for the pitch, just for the sale. Like to anybody out there, like that's new in sales and new in business, that's really putting themselves out there. Like just be you. You're gonna find your best clients when you're you, and you stop this pitch and the spin selling that people talk about, and like, here, let me emotionally buy you into this, let me wear you down, like until you actually do it, and give you a hard close at the end. It doesn't work. It's not sustainable. It's like all you're gonna do is just keep grinding and grinding and grinding until you're nothing, because you just grind yourself into dust. That's it.
Yeah.
Right. So with the grind comes polishing. Right, I call it GPS. With a grind, you polish it out and then you shine. GPS, it's like that's how it is. Grind, polish, and shine. Don't grind and grind and grind and grind and grind. Polish out your vocabulary. Polish out your routine. Polish out your pattern. Be a better you. Be like, when somebody asks you those hard questions, like you be ready for it. Like I had people that in meeting, like I signed a new client last week. He grilled me on questions. Just kept go. I love it. I'm like, give me questions. Keep them coming. Yep, keep them coming, right? And he looks at me. He's like, I'm sorry that I grilled you so hard. I'm like, don't apologize. I was like, I love it. I was like, I love that. Like, Like I had another one, and like the owners left, and like the person that they were working with, they're like, sorry, like they gave you a hard time. I was like, they gave us a hard time.
Well, I was just doing my
I never
job.
noticed it. I'm just doing what I do. Like you gave me you asked me a question. I'm giving you an
Yeah,
answer to it, right? Like, but I've done it enough times that like I'm so confident in it that I'm like,
right.
yeah, this is how it is. And if I don't know, I'm like, hey, let me see. Let's see it. Here, let's take a look
Yeah,
at it and jump right into it, because at the end of it, I'm just a human, and I'm like,
right.
if we can't, if I don't have the solution to it, we'll find it. We'll find it. If it
Yeah,
doesn't exist, I'll send out an email to somebody and be like, we should put this in place, right? So it's just, yeah, I find this a lot easier than just having to go out there and just keep chasing people in the sales world like the rat race.
yeah,
It's no point.
yeah. I love it. It's just building this very targeted list, targeted approach, going, hey, I think you might benefit from what I'm doing, making the reach out for it, and finding out, allowing them to find out. I love this grind and polish and shine, because it feels like you can do this at so many layers of your own evolution. It's like when you're getting started, be like, yeah, you gotta grind away all the rough edges to start to find out what you can polish, right? It's like, how are you gonna do your approach? I don't know yet. Well, you gotta go do it. And
Yeah.
then you'd be like, oh, well, when I said it this way, it worked, versus if I said it this way, how are you holding yourself? How are you doing it? That's that polish is what I hear from it, and then shining it is just, I don't know. That's one of the clips that are being pulled out of this for sure.
GPS, man, GPS.
Yeah.
It's like it's your navigation to success. That's I
I feel like this has been shined up very well, Brent.
Yeah, I've been working on that one for a while. But no, it's like I had a good mentor say to me, he's like, you want to be successful in life, grind your 20s, build in your 30s, relax in your 40s,
Yeah.
right? I'm 36, guys, right? I got 4 more years before I can relax. So I'm just going to keep building as much as I can. And my partner and I, we built a network of 25,000 people on LinkedIn in the last couple of years. So we imagine what we do in the next 4 years.
Yeah.
Right. So
And
that's
those aren't small numbers.
no, but it's possible for everybody as long as they put themselves out there in the market. As long as they know who their ideal audience is. Don't pitch people that you know are no. Don't pitch people you know that are going to give you a hard time. Like talk to the people that you want to genuinely talk to and solve those people's problems, because you're going to have a very good self-satisfaction at the end of the day, knowing that you've contributed towards making a part of the economy better.
Right. Well, hearing that is like, I know there's going to be a lot of people that are, starting it out, or feeling like, oh, I'm in this grind period. How do I know who my right people are when I'm starting the grind?
I think it's really sitting down and asking yourself where, like, based on your experience, because you've talked to different people in businesses, like your marketing
Yeah.
industries and your HR industries. When you talk to enough of those people, which ones do you find that you're drawn towards more? Your analytical type people, your creative type people, right? Your architect type of people. Like, what kind of industries excite you more? If it comes down to companies, are you a type of person that you love getting into the grassroots kind of businesses, that because you know that they need a little more hand holding, and you're a nurturing type person that you can do more hand holding and give them the skills to be able to set them up for the next phase in their business, right?
Right.
And then completely scale with the company? Or are you a type of person that you want to get in when they are in the middle of chaos because they built it too quickly, and you just need to jump in there and be like, all right, let's get a manage on this, like, and you love getting in the hustle and bustle
Yeah.
because it excites you. So like, those are the kind of things I ask people, and when you really sit down and you start mapping out what that person looks like, you can take that list and bring it on LinkedIn, and then all of a sudden you've mapped it out and you're like, oh, they're all here.
Yeah.
Let me start talking to them, right? And once you start talking to them, it's like when you knock on doors. It's like, if you're not doing it, then you're hypothetically thinking that it's not going to work.
Right.
But if you do it, you're going to see that it works, but you're going to get no's along the
Yeah.
way. So it's just there's your trade off.
Yes. When I think that, like, when I hear that, for people that are maybe thinking like having that fear around the sales and that fear around the no, is like, there's something different between a no and a piss off.
Yeah.
And right, and learning, I think that's part of that process of learning how to present this, because when you're at your early stages, you might come off the wrong way and like rub somebody the wrong way, whereas like 3 weeks down the trail, 3 months down the trail, you've learned how to approach it in a much different way. You get a lot more no's versus piss off or just being totally ignored.
There was a lot of times in my door-to-door career that I sat on the street corner wondering if I was going to quit because somebody's told me that I needed to go get a real job.
Yeah.
And I'm very thankful that I didn't take their advice, because everybody has an opinion at the end of the day. And I really trusted my gut in my life, in my career, and it's gotten better now that I've become more experienced with working with people. So like I can really feel it.
Yes.
But if I didn't go through that grind to be able to get to that comfortable feeling, then I wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't be talking
Yeah.
to you today. I wouldn't be an entrepreneur today. I wouldn't have been able to take the next steps to be able to get out of my head and realize that, hey, I've got something here that I know is successful because I did enough theory on it.
Yeah.
Right. I told people this. I was like, in my door-to-door career, I talked to 100 people a day because I had to, and I got backings on that one, and that was 6 days a week, 320 days a year for 10 years. So
Yeah.
you do the math, it's a lot,
That's
right?
a lot of
So
kilometers and a lot of a lot of
I would.
conversation.
I wish I had a Fitbit 20 years ago. I would have loved to have tracked my complete miles. But unfortunately, like they came out really after my door-to-door career ended.
Yeah.
But I would have gotten a lot of miles. Like for the next door-to-door people, like I wouldn't compete with you. But yeah, it's a lot of conversations,
Yeah.
a lot of good people in this world. Like I have had many a laugh. I have broke bread with many a people, strangers at the doors. I've learned
Yeah.
many languages from people. I've shared emotional moments with people in tears. I've met people tattooed from head to toe, and it doesn't matter. Like we're human beings, and like we get past the surface of conversation. You just see people, and you see problems, and you see hope.
Yeah.
And if you can give people the tools that they need to be successful in life, it gives them more hope, right? It makes their life a lot easier, and they can go do more. Like I never meet somebody that's successful in life that doesn't hold back now from doing more for their community. And if they are holding back, they don't deserve the success.
Yeah.
I hate saying that, but I believe that success should be shared.
Mm.
I don't, not me being the person that has all of it and everybody has
Yeah.
nothing. Nobody shows up to the party at that point. Nobody wants to party with somebody that doesn't want to do
You
something
can't be
good.
a Scrooge McDuck with that success, right? Like, and if you
No.
bring that to the table, is like, yeah, I've talked with this with other guests as well. The more that we bring that success, and all of us bring that success in these areas, is like the pie actually gets bigger. The
Yeah.
returns get bigger, right? And the returns are the impact on the people and the value you give them, and the byproduct is money.
Yeah.
Like when it's a business transaction, be like, that's how you get to that I've made money part, is like impact and value.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And just keep offering that value. You see other problems in that person's business, like be the first person to bring it up, being like, hey, I noticed this. Like I know somebody that can help make your life easier doing this.
Yeah.
When people see that, like you're genuinely there, being like, yeah, let's get you to the success point, like let's get you over this threshold. Like there's nothing better than somebody coming back and saying, thank you so much, thank you so
Yeah.
much for giving me that push, thank you so much for like convincing me that I needed to do this, because I needed to do this. I just needed somebody to sit down with me and just hash it out,
Yeah.
right? And like that to me is like, that's why I do it. That's why, like, with this person that says get a real job, I'm like, I got one. I got one, and I'm loving it. I'm loving it because I got a purpose. And
Yeah.
for those that are out there taking that no every single day, like keep doing it. Keep
Yeah.
doing it, because it's gonna pay off. Like I wouldn't say that after 20 years if it didn't.
And there's a lot of others that will agree and come on board with the taking the no is like your biggest learning opportunity, right? And like hearing, oh, go get a real job, getting to that point to self audit yourself, going, that doesn't actually say anything about me. And it speaks to where they are, and going,
Mhm.
and that is okay. And I wish them the best still, versus you're dead to me and walking off. Be like, how can you still bless that person?
Yeah. And most importantly, as well, if they say go get a real job, chances are there was some door to door person that knocked on their door 6 months ago, a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, and said something that they didn't like. And all of a sudden, they painted a picture that every person that's going to come out the door is going to feel their wrath. And it's not you. It's just their own ego. It's just their own insecurities just playing off because they just don't want to have an open conversation. And you don't want to do business with people that don't want to have an open conversation with you.
Yeah. It's a thank you for helping me eliminate this so I can go on to my next person that might be the yes or might be that next informative no.
That's right. That's right.
Yes.
100%.
Well, Brent, you remember how I said we were going to get to like 40 minutes just like that? Well,
Oh,
we
yeah.
did that. And I want to be respectful of your time, brother.
I
So
appreciate it, man.
before we let you go, are there any shout outs you'd like to give for yourself and the full Prism group?
Yeah, so I know we talked about LinkedIn a lot here today. For anybody that is interested in putting themselves out there in the LinkedIn world, I am offering 15% off on our campaigns for anybody that does sign up through here.
Go check
And
that out down below.
yeah, please do. So, all right, reach out to me, connect with me on LinkedIn, talk to me about that, right? Brent Keough, you will find me. Please connect with me so that way we can talk about solving your problems. And if you stuck around for this entire episode, I hope it helps solve some of these problems for you guys. So
100%.
otherwise, check us out on LinkedIn. Check out my partner as well, Leslie McKeown. She has more people than me on LinkedIn, so she's about 15,000. So give a shout out to her and just tell her that her wonderful fiance says hi. So also check out Full Prism Group, guys. See what we're doing. We also have an online network, Coast to Coast Connect. We do events every Wednesday. Love to have you guys show up. So
Awesome.
thanks a lot for all this. Getting
That'll,
no's with Drew. You know what? It's a constant battle, man. You will constantly be in that boxing ring for the rest of your life, and like the best thing you can do as you get that experience is train other people how to do that, right? And watching them succeed is for me has been my strive to keep fighting.
yeah.
Like I see like those Rocky 4, Rocky 5, and then like all of a sudden Rocky's gone for a long time and then Rocky comes back again. Like be Rocky. Like just come
Yes.
back. Like you're like the sales is like you can get back in the ring again. You can fight another round. You can keep doing it. Like the only way that you're going to fail in the sales world is when you stop knocking.
Oh, I
When
love
you
that.
stop talking.
Oh, you have an unlimited amount of comeback stories in you. That's what screams from that statement.
I want people to keep fighting, man. That's it. It's like
Keep
that's the
getting
thing.
up.
You will fight until you got a fire in you. That
Yeah.
until like people are like, I don't want to fight this person because he know what I know what I'm going to throw at him. He's going to come back at me. Like
Right.
so, people just
Yes.
really sit and listen and have a conversation and just get to know people on that real level. The no is not relevant, right? If I told you that you had unlimited opportunity, unlimited time in your life to go talk to everybody in this world unlimited time to go and talk to everybody in this world, right? And you know that 2% of the world is a yes. Would you do it?
Yes.
Yeah,
You're
everybody
not. You're not gonna.
would.
You're not gonna get to it, right? And I you're not gonna get to those yeses if you don't go do the knocks.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm still doing it. I'm still knocking, guys. 20 years in.
I love it. Well, man,
In
before I let you go, we have one last final question. So we're going to jump into my time machine. We're going to go ahead into the future and meet future you in 10 years. When that door opens up, he's going to give you one piece of advice. What do you think that's going to be?
Thank you for finishing streamlining the processes. Completely streamlining it because there's a couple of things that we're working on in our company and once we have it streamlined, we take the stratosphere for our company. right? That's the biggest thing that a lot of people are bound by is time. And I said this to my network earlier today. Does anybody here have 24 hours and 5 minutes in their day? And everybody said no. And I was like, no, nobody ever does either. I said, when you streamline a process, I said, you'll get that time back.
Yeah.
I said, thank you for streamlining all of the processes.
Oh, I love that. Actually, because of your answer, I'm going to refactor how this question's asked. And he's going to say, what is he thankful that you did?
You know what? That's the way I see that. Like it's me. Like I want to thank my future self. Like I really hope there's a time machine in the future that we can go and do it. I really do.
Yeah.
It would be one of those like, you know what? I got to go back and I got to be like, all right, we got a couple of things to talk about here for another time. But no, it's going to be thank you for streamlining the processes.
I love that answer. I haven't had that answer yet out of 91 episodes, so thank you for bringing that forward. Thank you for this conversation today, Brent. This was a wonderful conversation based on the amount of engagement and comments we had. It resonated with a lot of people.
Good. I'm glad it does. And like I said, the conversation doesn't have to end, guys. Reach out to me. I'm just going. One click away. One call away.
One dot to be connected.
That's it. It's much easier than 10 numbers with a 1 as an area code.
Very much so.
Click and we're done. And thank you, Gene, for having me. I really appreciate it. And thank you for actually talking. Like I love talking about this. I love it.
Yes, this was a lot of fun. And everybody else, thank you for watching today. This is episode 91 of the LiveCast Conversations With, and we will see you next Wednesday. Have a good one.